Hi, it's coffee. No, it's not coffee. It's me. Hi, it's Belinda here from Coffee with Belinda Downs, and I've got my water because now isn't the time for coffee. I've had so much coffee today. I've got my coffee and you're here, so let's get started. Okay, so what I wanted to do was talk through some comments that I wrote on Lacey and Christian Buchanan's Facebook page. I'm not going to refer to Christian specifically here. I'm not going to show you any photos of him, but I think it's really valuable to talk through my experience of what's happening, because I think there's some things there that people need to be aware of. So I've got my computer here and we're going to read through my Facebook comments. So I've got two here. Okay, here we go. Now I'm doing this without without sound, so I'm reading it and it's a block of text, and yeah, I'll talk about that one day. But here we go. So this was from a day ago. I have to admit that one of the hardest things to hear about the message that she got, that was a bit rude, was something that I don't think many people get. A lot of emotion goes into the fear of the unknown. It's easy to say that the operation went well, but the emotions around getting prepared, waiting for surgery to start, and waiting it out are all emotional dark caves. I'm going to explain this in a second too. I have a sinus coming out of my face at the moment. I can't look it up. I'm flying without precedent. And then along comes this person with the answer. And it's just so rude and uncalled for. I'll explain why in this video. And besides, it's a very major surgery. There's a reason why there are specialty surgeons. There's a reason why there are special surgeons, especially for craniomaxillofacial conditions. The way you and Chris navigate these dark caves and guide your amazing sons through them is far better than my parents did. I'll explain that as well. I'm still praying for you all. I hope the strep heals up soon. Okay, so that was the comment. There's a few things here. One of the reasons why I had a bad reaction to this particular comment that Lacey got was that people forget that with very rare conditions like Christian's and mine, I mean, our conditions are similar, but they're also very different. And we are flying blind. As I said, I have a sinus coming out of my face, which sounds really gross, but basically this here is filling up, and it's a sinus is like a hole or a space. So there's actually a space growing on my face. Now I'm going to go to the doctors and get it relieved and all that, but I know that from experience. I didn't look it up in a textbook because I can't look up Google and say, how do I get rid of a sinus on my face? Just can't be done, and that takes emotional energy. It's not fair to just say, why don't you do this? It just doesn't work like that. The comment about the stitches being cleaned up, so there was blood on his face because he's just had surgery, but that blood wasn't cleaned up because it would upset the stitches underneath, and he didn't want it cleaned up. It hurt. So I totally agreed with doing it under anaesthetic. I'm really, really pleased, having experienced that myself, that it was done that way. So yeah, definitely. I think the best way to put it is that when you have facial surgery, you have to remember that the face is just not external, it's also internal, and it's the internal face that needs to heal first before the external face. There's no point in having all of the external part healed if the internal part, like the muscles and the sinuses and all of that, are still healing, because they're still moving around and swelling needs to go down. So yeah. Okay, so I'm really, really pleased that the stitches were cleaned when they were cleaned. So as I've said here, with my sinus, I'm flying without precedent. There's no manual. I won't speak for a long time about what I meant by the dark caves, but basically, to put it really simply, the expectation that people will have all the resources they need emotionally to cope with this is just not on, because it is like a big dark cavern that you can't see ahead. So if you are having like an operation, it's not like it's an everyday operation. The surgeons are planning, everybody involved in this complex situation is flying without precedent. It's a tough call. And when I mentioned my parents weren't able to do it. They had a few other issues, but I really, really admire the Buchanans. That's a lot to take on. And yeah, from my experience, I can see how much was going on in the background. I don't know exactly what was going on in the background. They don't share everything with me, nor should they. But it was just, you have to understand that these people are doing an amazing job, really well, with the resources that human beings have. I can't put it any more simply. So let's have a look at the other one, or let me read the other one to you. Okay, so I'm so pleased they did the cleanup of the dry blood when taking out the stitches and not before. Okay, I mentioned that before. They would have hurt to do it any other time. Yes, I know that from personal experience. He does look better, but that's not the point, and this is what I'm going to explain a little bit more here. I hope he's more comfortable in his own face now, and that the healing keeps going smooth. Fast healing isn't necessarily the best. Things need time sometimes, like waiting for swelling to go down. From my perspective, he looks exactly how he should, awesomely himself. Okay, so this comes back to the point that I was saying before, that in our society we are so conditioned to think that the external face is all there is, but it's actually the internal face, the muscles, let me give you an example. When I was about 15, I had an operation to open up my nose. So I was born with the top of my nose inside blocked, so I couldn't breathe through it. It was opened up, and by the time I was 15, we all realised that it had closed over again by scar tissue. Now you might think that's a pretty pretty long time, and it was, but my nose was dripping, and my parents had other things to do, so we won't go there for the moment. But suffice to say that when I was 15, I had my nose reopened. I had straws up my nose. Now, here's the thing. That operation went really, really well. I can still breathe through my nose. I have a problem with smell, but I can breathe through my nose. Great. What wasn't so great was that, and this is going to sound really bad, but basically I had straws up my nose, and the first time that I sneezed post-operation, the straws went like that and dragged my nose down. So I ended up with a scar right here, not my lip, but right above. And I still obviously have this scar under my nose to this day. I would much rather have that scar than not have an open nose. And so people say, well, why don't you get that scar fixed? But, you know, I mean, I'd much rather have my internal face fixed than a little scar under my nose that not many people see. Although you probably will see it now that I've pointed it out. Yeah, so there are lots of things here that are huge. As I say, I really value Chris and Lacey Buchanan and their experience. It's a rough place to be, but you know what? I'm 48 now, and things didn't go too smoothly for me, but I'm here and I'm thriving and I'm doing really well, and I'm very sure that Christian and his brother Chandler will do even better than I did. So yeah, I hope that my comments have kind of helped a little bit to understand what was actually happening. But yeah, so when people are sharing thoughts about rare conditions, just keep in mind that it is an unknown thing, and it does take a lot of resources and inner capacity and emotions to deal with the unknown. So yeah, I'm hoping to post a little bit more regularly now, and we'll see you really soon.